Right. Let me start with something that's going to ruffle some feathers in the good old US of A. Is NASCAR accidentally rigging their own races for Shane van Gisbergen? Now, before the Yanks in the comments grab their pitchforks, hear me out. Because in 2022, NASCAR completely tore up the rule book. They built a brand new car from the ground up, and in doing that, they may have handed a Kiwi kid from Auckland the single biggest advantage any road racer has ever had walking into stock cars. Think about it. You've got the American Oval Specialists blokes who've been turning left since they were in nappies, and then you've got the Kiwi Invader, a supercars champ who rocked up to Chicago in 2023 in his debut and beat the lot of them. On a street course, in the rain, that wasn't luck, and it wasn't just talent. There's a secret bit of physics baked into this next-gen car that most fans have never had explained to them properly. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why SVG and this car are a match made in racing heaven, and why Hendrick and Gibbs are absolutely losing sleep over it. All right, let's peel back the first layer. To understand why this car suits SVG, you've got to understand what NASCAR used to be. The old Gen 6 car, and every car before it going back decades was, in engineering terms, a bit of a dinosaur. We're talking a 4-speed H-pattern gearbox and a solid rear axle. One beam, both rear wheels bolted to it, moving together. That solid axle is crude. When one rear wheel hits a bump or a curb, it upsets the other one. On an oval, fine, you're smooth, you're committed, it works, but throw that car onto a bumpy street circuit with curbs and cambers, it skips, it hops, it fights you. And that H-pattern box? To drive it fast, American road racers had to master heel and toe downshifting, right foot rolling across the throttle to blip the revs while braking, left foot on the clutch, hand working the H-gate. It's an art. It's decades of muscle memory. Now here's where it gets spicy. For 2022, NASCAR binned all of it. The next-gen car, Gen 7, runs a 5-speed sequential transaxle built by X-Track. That's the P1334 unit if you want the part number. No more H-pattern. You just pull the lever back to upshift, push forward to downshift, sequential, just like a race car built this century. And it moved to an independent rear suspension, a multi-link setup with 5-way adjustable Öhlins, TTR dampers on all 4 corners. Each rear wheel now moves on its own, rack and pinion steering, 18-inch wheels with low-profile tires. Now, does any of that sound familiar? Because if you've watched a single lap of Australian supercars, it should. That's exactly the recipe SVG drove for years. Sequential gearbox, sophisticated suspension, fat tires. NASCAR didn't just modernize their car, they accidentally rebuilt a supercar with a stock car body draped over it. So when the American drivers had to relearn how to shift, how to drive a proper independent car, SVG walked in already fluent. He didn't have an adjustment period. This was his native language, but here's the thing that'll do your head in. That's the road course stuff. Everyone expects him to be quick on the twisty bits. So why the hell is he suddenly getting fast on the ovals? That's the part nobody saw coming. Here's the stat that'll knock you flat. From 2023 through 2025, SVG's oval record was, and I'm being polite here, rubbish. Average finish of 25th. His performance index was 52% worse than the Cup average. The numbers experts literally called him the biggest road course versus everything else split in the modern era. There was no one close. He was a specialist, full stop. Then something clicked. In 2026, over a 20-race oval stretch, Van Gisbergen went from a below-average performance index of 44 to 96. 96. Cup average is 100. He went from genuinely bad to basically dead average on ovals in less than a season, and at short tracks and super speedways, he's now above average. 6th at Echo Park, 5th at North Wilkesboro. He's sitting 14th in points with a 90% plus shot at the chase, and this time not because of a road course win and in. On merit. In all of NASCAR history since 1972, only a handful of drivers have ever pulled off that kind of oval turnaround. It almost never happens. So what changed? 2 words, the transaxle. By taking the gearbox out from behind the engine and moving it to the back of the car, mounted between the rear wheels, NASCAR shifted a big chunk of mass rearward. Better weight distribution, more load sitting over the rear axle. And more weight over the rear means more rear grip on entry exactly when a driver is trailing the brakes into a corner. Now, who does that suit? A bloke with an aggressive brake late, rotate the car on entry style. A bloke who, and this is the kicker, had to learn left foot braking coming into stock cars, and once he cracked it, could stomp that brake and rotate the rear on command. There's footage of SVG switching between left and right foot, braking mid-corner, building pedal pressure while steering. Fancy footwork, and it only works because this car's balance lets it work. Watch him on an oval closely and you'll spot it, his line's different. Where the traditional oval guys run the smooth, committed arc, SVG is braking deeper, using that rear-weighted balance to pivot the car and get it pointed early, then getting to throttle sooner off the corner. It's a road racer's braking technique applied to an oval, and the car's design is what makes it physically possible. So it's not that SVG suddenly learned to be American. It's that he figured out how to make an oval feel like a corner he already knows how to attack. Which raises the real question the big teams are now obsessed with. Wait, here's why the powerhouse teams are scrambling. For years, the assumption was simple. Keep SVG off the ovals and you neutralize him. That plan just died because now the data engineers at Hendrick and Joe Gibbs Racing are staring at his telemetry going, hang on, how is he carrying that much entry speed? Why is his rotation better than our guys who've done 1,000 oval races? They're studying his brake traces, his throttle application, the way he uses that independent rear to rotate rather than scrub speed, and the frustrating bit for them, a lot of it isn't set up. You can just copy. It's a driving technique forged over a decade in a car that handled just like this one. You can hand another driver SVG's exact setup sheet, and he still won't drive it the same way. That's the genuine structural advantage. The next-gen car rewards a skill set SVG spent his whole career building, and the field is playing catch-up on both the technique and the mindset. Look, if you want this kind of deep technical breakdown that you won't find on mainstream sports channels, you need to join the Trackline community. We're chasing 5,000 subs. Hit that button. If you're a real racing head, takes 2 seconds, and it tells me you want more of the proper nerdy stuff, not the recycled highlight reels everyone else is churning out. Right, let's bring it home. So let's put the whole picture together. The next-gen car is effectively SVG's cheat code. The sequential transaxle means he never had to unlearn a lifetime of habits he was fluent day one. The independent rear suspension mimics the supercar he mastered, so bumps and curbs that unsettle the field are nothing to him. And that rearward weight shift from the transaxle rewards his aggressive, brake deep, rotate the car style, which is exactly why the oval breakthrough that history says should be nearly impossible, happened anyway. NASCAR set out to modernize their sport. What they actually did was build the perfect machine for a Kiwi road racing genius and then invite him to the party. Road course GOAT and now a legitimate all-rounder. That is a properly scary combination. So I want to hear from you. Is this pure talent? The man's just that good and he'd win in anything? Or is it the luck of the car design falling perfectly into his lap? Comment talent or luck below. I'm reading every single one and I'll pin the best argument from both sides. Cheers for watching, legends. If SVG made you stoked to be a racing fan, smash that like, subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one. Flat out.